Hello, how you doing? My name is Steve Favis. I'm doing this tutorial on unwrapping in 3D Studio Max. This right here is what we have is a tank that we're using in our production for our tank game, and I'm just going to show you how to unwrap it in the fastest, easiest way without using any third-party tools such as Head SUV. There are a number of different tools you can use for unwrapping, but we're just going to stick with the Max tools that come with the package. So the first thing I'm going to do is I like attacking the biggest surfaces first, and the first thing I want to do is I want to isolate the biggest sections, which is the bottom, and we're going to start unwrapping this first. Now notice we have different color geometry right now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put a material over this because I need to see if I'm selected on the material or not. I don't want to see a red selection or a red material because it mixes up with the selection, so I'm just going to throw that material on there. It's just a basic white self-illuminating material. I'm going to expect the geometry for any other collisions or anything like this. These are problem areas right here, so I'm going to change the geometry on this a little bit. These are too close together and they don't serve much purpose. I'll just make them a little bit like that. Sometimes during unwrapping you have to make some modeling corrections. It's a normal process for that to happen. And what I'm going to do is since this tank can be symmetried, or was symmetried, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have our textures overwrap so we can have more detail in the textures. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to chop this tank in half, and later on I'll unwrap it with it in one half. So I'm just going to remove all this stuff here for now. I'm just going to grow the geometry. This button is useful for expanding the selected geometry. You see what I mean by not having red geometry? You can't tell if it's selected or not in Max. Alright, so I'm just going to detach this for now. Actually, I'm going to delete it. I'll just hit delete. I'll get rid of the stray geometry in here too. We're just going to symmetry this. Now if you plan on having a non-symmetrical vehicle as far as the textures, then you might not want to do this. Or you might want to. Sometimes it's faster. Okay, now I'm going to apply the Unwrap modifier. The quickest way to do this is just by pressing the U key, and it jumps directly to Unwrap Uvw. We're just going to get a quick preview of what it looks like. It looks like it's pretty garbled up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete that one and apply a different one. I'm going to apply the Uvw. This is more like a box, so I'm going to go to Uvw map. I'm just going to select box on this, and the box kind of just fits around it. Sometimes you might need to go to fit or something like that down here, but it looks like it's pretty clean, so we're gonna leave that mapping modifier on there. Now we're going to go to Unwrap Uvw. The tank is pretty rectangular, so we'll do that. Now I'm going to go to the topmost geometry first. We're going to go to edit here. We've still got jumbled up texture map, so what we're going to do is we're going to separate this so we can make sense out of it. I'm just going to grab as much as I can on this. Now the difference between this plus minus modifier, or this expansion, is this goes into the green lines. The one on the right doesn't go to the green lines. So if you click this one, as you can see, it expands there. So the green lines are just the limits of where your texture map has expanded to. And we're probably going to need a few of these, a few pieces, just to keep them separate so we can paint, so the texture artist can paint them easily. I'm just going to see how we're covering it here. Okay, now I'm going to just pull this aside and see if it takes anything with it. Looks like it doesn't take anything with it. I'm also going to expand my tiling here just so I can see the checker pattern on the tank. Checker pattern is what we really want. We want to have nice and even squares. Right now we have rectangles. Instead we want nice and even squares around the entire geometry. These basically show distortion on our texture, that are our geometry. And if we have rectangles or goofed up squares, then we're going to have distorted textures and pixelation on the textures, which is really bad. The texture artist is not going to like that. So let's go ahead and hit relax on this one just to see what it does. I usually go to relax by face angles. And I go to start relax, and it looks like we got some stretching in here, but the rest of this looks pretty clean. So we're going to troubleshoot this stretch section, see what's going on, to see why it's being distorted there. I'd think of unwrapping as like ironing clothes or something like that. Clothes are made out of all flat objects. Material just comes in a big roll. And unwrapping is just basically taking that finished garment and putting it back into its simplest pieces, the texture, so we could just paint it. Let's go. Looks like the distortion's coming from this area right here. So there's a wrinkle in our fabric, and we need to figure out how to solve that. So let's see what we got here. Okay, that was actually a max glitch. Looks like the textures cleared up pretty evenly. So if we render this out, we should be able to see nice and square textures on this section, except for this bottom part, which we'll fix later. We'll probably add this right now, but for the most part I like going for the biggest parts first. These things usually get priority over the texture maps, or the texture available area we have to put them out on. Let's go ahead and attach this little piece down here. I think this might be it right here. Actually, we need to connect this right here. Just go to Stitch Selected to connect edges. And hit relax on this. Looks like we got little problems here. Let's Control Z that. Let's just do this area. Let's go to vertex mode instead. Hit relax on this. Let's see where we're connected to. Let's see which face this is on the geometry. This is the face right here. And looks like we need to connect this edge right here. So I can select it in the viewport by going to Edge. And Stitch Select here. And we could probably relax this thing. It should come out pretty straight. Okay, when we see the geometry moving just slightly, there may be a little bit of distortion on it. What we aim for is a complete stop of it moving by itself, so we can get nice and even checker patterns. But sometimes it's unavoidable, and we have to have this thing move a little bit. So we're going to set this aside. This is good enough for now. I'm going to try to just line it up evenly here, and we can see our checkers look nice and even on this as we render it out. Now I'm going to go for the next biggest section, which is the side of it here. I don't want to deal with the small stuff first. I want to deal with the biggest parts first, so we can get faster progress done. So again, I'm going to stick with face mode on the geometry. And I'm going to pull this away to see if it's sticking to anything. Looks like it is, so I'm just going to hit right click it and go to the detach adverts. And I'm going to hit relax on this one. Relax window's already open. And I'm going to see which edges I need to connect. I like this one right here. Edge. So we might have additional geometry that's connected to that. So I'm just going to try to remember, when you stitch selected, the piece you select will stay still, and the pieces that are connected to it will come to it. So in this case, you see how the smaller texture, smaller piece we had here got moved over there instead of the other way around, just so you can keep track of your pieces and know where you're at in the 2D space. Oh wait, we already have the relax window open. Okay, now see, it's starting to look like our geometry on the left here. so you know how it needs to be organized. And there's another piece over here I want. I'm going to go to Edge mode, and I'm going to go to Stitch Selected again. And I'm going to go select this all and hit Relax again. And again, we want to be in face mode. Face angles, this is my favorite one to use, but you can use the other ones for other stuff. And it looks like we got that kind of laid out. Let's look how our checker pattern looks. Looks like our checker pattern's okay on this. It looks nice and clean. And we're going to have to start getting the next biggest part, which is the bottom. We'll go to that one next. I'm just going to go to face mode in this geometry mode here. And I'm going to expand this as far as it can go. Looks like that looks like a nice and clean, straight piece of geometry. I can pull this away, see if there's anything connected to it. There's nothing connected to it right now, so I'm going to hit Relax. Relax window's already open. Okay. Now it looks like we got to connect this green piece right here. This edge needs to be connected because this is a nice and flat piece of geometry, nice straight piece of material. I'll hit Stitch here, Stitch Selected, and hit Relax. Let's highlight this again, hit Relax again. We've got another straight piece over here. I'm going to hit Z for zoom on this one just so we can see if this is connected in a straight pattern. Yes, it is. This is the piece right here, so I'm going to hit Stitch Selected on that. Oh, I guess that was another piece. Let's see which ones these are. So I'm going to go to face mode and see which ones these are. We can connect those. These are the ones we probably don't want connected to this right here, so I'm going to pull these guys away. These are connected right now. You can see how these are connected. So I'm going to disconnect them by Detach Edge Verts. Detach Edge Verts. Right click, Detach Edge Verts. Now we can relax this piece again here. Okay, now we got the biggest parts of the tank unwrapped right now. We got the side of it done, we got the top of it done, and we got the bottom of it done. Now we'll go to the smaller pieces. The next smaller piece from there is these tracks. And looks like we already have some green lines following it, so I'm going to see how far this expansion goes with this expand a selection. And move that window a little bit. Looks like it can use this piece here. We're going to keep these tank treads together. Most likely this will probably be an animated texture in the game. So it'd be nice if we could have this in one piece. Okay. So I'm going to pull this out here. Looks like it's already disconnected. So we're going to look at see how this cleans up once we hit Relax. Okay, relax again. And looks like it's nice and square. Nice checkers are even. So then now we'll go to the next biggest part, which is probably this section right here. Looks like it's already disconnected, so I'm going to pull this away from this section here. I'm going to hit Relax on this one too. And hit Relax on it one more time. Okay, now look, our checkers are cleaned up. Now, eventually, when you sort these out on the UVW map, we want to have the checkers even. Right now, our checkers are big over here, and our checkers are small over here, and that's going to cause some pixel problems as the texture artist is painting. So we have to have these checkers even and uniform all throughout, which we will do as we organize these pieces. Now, we still have a lot of stuff in here, and these are the smaller pieces that we're going to sort out like this. These at some point, sometimes for low poly games, may be negotiable as far as where they can go, but we'll unwrap them anyway just to keep them together, so we can zoom in close on the vehicles and not see any problems. I'm going to pause the video real quick, take a break. I'll be right back.